this is Uncensored and Off Duty. I'm Jean, and we also have Bunny, our resident therapist and longtime healthcare, mental health professional. So trauma dumping. Oh my gosh, I do this. I do this all the time, and I didn't even know it was a thing. I had no clue. And I think that maybe this is why I have no friends.
No, no, no. Oversharing just happened naturally. It's just when it's different if somebody asks you what's going on, right? But like trauma dumping is more like you just like you first you know how you just had small talk, it go right into like, damn, I saw I did baby today. It was crazy. Yeah, like that's different. I'm also guilty of that shit all the time. I do it to my sister, and she was just like, especially when I was working for children's services, and she was just like, I don't want to hear about things like that. Like, it's depressing. And I was just like, oh, this is what I do for a living, but okay.
I will literally not, I will get on the phone with you. I will be like, oh my God, you do not know what happened to me today. And then I will just go into like the craziest story you've ever heard. Just terrible, terrible stuff that I've experienced either at work or just, I don't know, just some random bullshit that happened in excruciating detail. And it's just like, I ain't asked you how you doing. I ain't asked you how your day was. I ain't asked you if you ready for me to dump some crazy shit on you or nothing. I'm like, man, I cannot believe I've been doing this for so long and not even realizing what it is.
So for people who don't know what trauma dumping is, it's like venting when venting turn like toxic. It's like oversharing of harmful things that can cause harm to the other person. You can also create the person get like secondhand trauma from like trauma dumping. Usually like you feel like if somebody is trauma dumping to you, you feel like they're draining you. So I just want to give people what trauma dumping is.
So we know what trauma dumping is. So how do you talk to people? What do you say to people? Like, okay, so let's say you don't tell anybody any personal trauma that you've gone through or whatever. How long do you wait before you start unloading on people?
Honestly, you should talk to a professional. You should get a mental health therapist. I think you need, as human beings, we should be mindful of our interactions. And if our interactions are causing harm, like my sister who set a clear boundary, like, yeah, I don't want to know about your work, and I don't give a fuck if it was, hey, hi. But I don't give a fuck if that's making you feel better or not. But I think, because trauma dumping, like, okay, if someone's trauma dumping, it's likely you're experiencing depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress, and stressful home and work environments, right? Um, I think if somebody like what I always say, like I can't be your therapist. I always tell people like I can't be your therapist. You need to go get help. Type thing. It's so funny because I went out today at the art museum and I was talking about like our podcast today and oversharing. And I lost my frame of mind. And yeah, that's that ADHD. We got to do a show about ADHD.
Wait,
It's like every show, it'd be like, oh, I lost that idea.
like where were we going? Nowhere. We're not going anywhere. We went
Absolutely, like
absolutely
nowhere.
nowhere.
Like where the fuck was I? I don't. Who knows? Oh my god.
Um, right. So the only person you could talk to about these things is a professional. Never bring it up to like friends or family members. Like I
I,
find out, I believe you can talk to people about stuff sometimes.
yeah, but it can't be like a toxic situation of like non-consent. Like it literally says, I was reading this article and it pretty much says like trauma dumping can cause anxiety for the other person. It can make them feel overwhelming, and sometimes they be so overwhelmed with emotions or feelings of helplessness because they don't know how to like like how to respond to somebody doing it. Yeah, it's like you can talk to your friend. We can talk to each other. You just make sure the person you talking to is very resilient. They're not gonna take what you say and like like people who's empaths, so they're feeling the pain you're feeling. Like that's, you cause your friend more harm than helping them by overly sharing, or we can call it like emotionally like dumping. Like it's okay to vent, but when I become overbearing, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I think it's the person that I talk to the most is my mom. So I'm always calling her and telling her about, crazy stuff that happened to me or taking care of patients who are acting wild. And I know it really makes her worry about me. So so I try to catch myself now, and I try not to talk about that kind of thing because it makes her feel like scared for me. I know when I put but this is my job and I do this every day, but put myself in these situations, and then it's gotten to the point where she's like, well, can't you do something else? do you have to
Or
do you have to do that? I mean, you're so smart and you can do anything you want, so why can't you just do something else? And it's not a matter of me not wanting to do my job. So it just kind of went left from me just trying to share my day with my mom, but oversharing, like you said. But I think that I can really talk to you about it. A, because we've known each other for so long, and B, because I feel like we have similar experiences or whatever. But I don't know. Let me ask you, have I ever said something like so crazy, like trauma dumped on you, and you was like, man, I could have went my whole life without knowing that?
I'm so happy that you clarified that we was on the topic, because I'm like, girl, you say crazy shit all the time. What you talking about? Oh, trauma dumping? Oh no, girl, it's cool. It's cool. That's just regular. Nah, you say crazy shit, but no, it's not. You don't never say anything or tell me anything that I feel like is like it's emotionally draining. But I think due to our dynamics and shit, like we experience real life. We ain't no pussy hoes, you feel me? Like, so it's just like pretty much like we got each other back, and we not gonna feel like draining. Because if I have a story, you gonna have a story too. Like, yeah, I remember when my client did that shit too, and he put his dick out and I didn't know what to do. I told the nurse, like, get him, his dick is out. Like, I'd be like, damn, that shit crazy. Was that triggering for you? Like the fuck? Like I can take that shit. Like, because I know my friend can handle it. Like you can handle anything that get tossed your way for real. But
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna talk down. It literally says, like, what I was reading is like you just have to have a resilient friend, person who's trauma dumping, because you're trauma dumping because you're overwhelmed with emotions yourself, and you just want to, like, it's selfish, like you just want to unload all this information that you then saw, and how it made you feel, and you want to get it out so fast because it makes you feel better, and you're disregarding the other person's feelings. But with our dynamic, I think we're solid. Like, you ever been somewhere at the bar and like you drinking, having fun, and some random bitch just come up, it's like, oh my god, my boyfriend broke up with me, he was fucking my sister and got my cousin pregnant. Yeah,
Oh, people
yeah, and kill. Damn, bitch,
people
what's your name,
don't
bitch?
people don't talk to me. People come up to you. We was just at the bar and people talk to you randomly, but nobody said shit to me at all except for that older gentleman who was, I don't know. I don't know what he wanted, but I wasn't down for it. But that was it.
Yeah, I always get the weirdos. For real. But that's a whole nother story.
You're like a magnet. You're like a magnet for weird people. I don't know why.
That shit was weird as fuck. I swear to God, was she just sitting there doing this?
Yes. Yes. Literally. I was like, am
I
I
said,
want
what
to
the
be
fuck
really
is
rude,
she
like,
scared?
excuse me. Can you be helped?
That shit was weird. Oh my God.
But
Anywho,
I think she was just nervous to talk to you. Like, she wanted to talk to you, but she was nervous to talk to you.
the fuck? Girl, that shit was funny. That shit was funny. That shit was funny. That bitch was weird.
you were saying to be nice, but I'm thinking all of this stuff that you're saying now in my head at the time, like, hey, Ashley. So what we don't want to do, back on topic, is we don't want to be just meeting somebody, like you said, and saying all that stuff. You don't want to be on a first date with somebody and saying all that stuff.
I do that shit all the time. When you say first dates, I'll be like, let me tell you about my childhood trauma. This is why I am masculine as fuck. Yeah, my mama died in front of me. Yeah, I got some fucked up trauma and childhood abuse. Do you love me now? Like, it'd be crazy. I'm crazy as fuck. I do that shit on the first date. Like, I'm wild. Like, I'm wild.
Why?
I'd be like,
Why?
can you handle it? Because I'm crazy.
Is there nothing else that you can talk about, like, besides that? Is that really what you want to say to people?
Nigga, I want to know what's the, like, who that nigga is. I want to know, did your mama love you as a child? What are some ways you want to be loved? Like, do it to me. I want to know. Like, I want to know. I want to know. I don't give a fuck if it is trauma. It says, do you do it in friendships too? Okay, you want to fight? I showed up because y'all want to know about my lives. Like, y'all want to know. So
Yeah, Ashley, we was just talking about that right before you hopped on, about oversharing with friends and getting their consent first, and not traumatizing them, through the stuff that you're saying. So basically asking them like, okay, can I unload on you? And if not, then it's not, because you don't want to add to their stresses. So yeah, we were just talking about that, Ashley. I don't know if you have anything that you want to say about that, some kind of strategies that people can use to try not to overshare, when they're talking to people. Because some people, it's like you said, this is just how they talk to people all the time. Everybody, new people, old people, everybody.
Cause I don't be giving a fuck. I just be like, yo, what's up? I'm not clear. I don't do really good with boundaries. But based on this article, unless you're a mental health professional or at least a very, very mentally resilient person, like, you should not, like, that's the kind of person you should trauma dump on. Like, you should really be, like, careful who you trauma dump on. And I feel like you and Ashley, y'all can handle my shit. Like, Ashley, definitely. I think we all do it. We especially do that shit when we drunk. Like, bitch, let me tell you.
You the one. No, you want to psychoanalyze people and argue with people when you drunk.
Bitch, that's something I do. I sure be like, I'm like, do you think you do that because your mom didn't love you? So when you
Right.
told me as a child, like, I be hearing shit and I be like, oh, I want to say something. Oh, we was talking about, y'all don't know this. We was talking about, but I was talking about some crazy shit. And I was just like, okay, I'm gonna tell the story. So this person was telling me about a time when he was in a threesome, and technically it was a twosome. It was a woman and her husband, and they got him to have sex with, in front of him, right? And then later on that night, they was like, oh, told the extra dude, like, you can sleep on the floor. And I was just like, that's so interesting. I said, it has to be a control thing. Like, why wouldn't you be able to sleep in the bed? You just fucked his wife. If you wanted to sleep in the bed, you might as well just sleep in the fucking bed. But I'm like, it has something to do with control. Like, you a fucking dog. You're a sex toy to my wife. You don't mean anything to me, so you're on the floor. And that's the first thing I thought when I was hearing that shit. Like, oh, it's not about, like, sex. It's about that man having control. Like, yeah, you fuck my wife, but not sleeping on the floor like a dog. Like, I thought that shit. This has nothing to do with anything. I have ADHD, you guys. But it was just like, yo, like, I do psychoanalyze everybody. I try not to. I'd be like, when is your symptoms onset? Oh, that happened. Yeah, they diagnosed you with that. I said, oh, that don't sound like that. That sounds like bipolar disorder. Don't really sound like schizophrenia. You got schizophrenia? I said, what's your baseline symptoms? Like, I really be like, oh, let's dissect that shit. So I must welcome trauma dumping. I love hearing about people's stories and, like, how resilient they are and how they face adversity. Or I like to, like, give them motivation to do better. Like, so I enjoy it. You can trauma dump or emotionally dump on me anytime. I'm ready. Anyone. I'll be like, oh shit, that happened. That shit crazy. I think it's.
I think it's hard when you see things so differently than everybody. Like all the knowledge in your head is like, so you're seeing things from a different perspective when you're talking to people and they're telling you something. You're like, well, have you ever thought about things this way? Because my critical thinking skills, I'm always critically analyzing everything. And when people talk to me about stuff and then I'm telling them like, well, you know what, it really seems like this, that, or the third. Like one of my coworkers was telling me, she was like, yeah, they've been trying to get rid of me here for a long time. She was like, they don't like me. And then new people come in and then they talk shit about me. And then they go to HR and then they've tried to fire me so many times, but I just never let them do it. I got my own lawyer, you know, I fight back or whatever the case may be. But now she's actually leaving because she wants to leave and go to another job. And she was like, well, I don't know if I'm going to cut it. And I was like, what you mean? We literally been trying, and I said we, not them. I said, we literally been trying to get rid of you for the last 2 years and you're still here. So I think that whatever happens at your new job, you'll be fine.
Girl. Oh my
said,
God. I would have looked at you like, what? What you say?
she was like, I appreciate your honesty, and that does actually make me feel better.
Jesus Christ.
I didn't want to give her the wrong idea. Yes, me too. I don't, you know, I had my moments where I was trying to get rid of you too. Yeah, I told people not to fuck with you because you be doing some fuck shit sometimes. Yeah, you know. You warn people about people. That's just what you do at a job. Like, oh yeah, this person gonna try to fuck with you. I was like, you know, don't let them get in the way of your money. Whatever. But I don't know. I feel like that's why I can't talk to people. I don't know. I don't know how to talk to people. What would you have said in that situation?
What I would have said in the situation was gave her kind words of encouragement. That's what I would have did. I mean, some people say ain't really got nothing to do with our like topic or whatever, because obviously we never stay on topic. But in a sense, like I got a new job, guys. Yay, thank you. I know all the applause because I don't work. And I'm a supervisor, and the director was telling me like we got to encourage like the managers to like work with other people and da da da. And like I have two really strong personalities, like not me, like the staff too, and they got really strong personalities. And like one young lady, I feel like she's very like she's like you, like she's like what, like she's an islander, she's a Caribbean. She's like what's I got to life for? I don't give a fuck. Like I did that, I fucked up. What you gonna do? What you gonna do? I'll be like, now so and so is there's different ways than how you said it. I understand that you're passionate behind it, but you gotta be more conscientious of what you know. That's some shit I had to learn, and it took me in my 30s, because me and you both struggle with that shit, the tactfulness of things we say, because we be saying some shit and it just be honestly like I'd be like, okay, the fuck. Like, but there's a tactfulness and it's like strategizing. I would not say that.
So how do you deal with that person? How do you deal with somebody that's so straightforward like that, being like in a supervisor position?
I tell them we have to think of other ways to let people know how to do something. Like it was an issue at one of the homes that like, she was like, oh, the staff doesn't clean. I said, do you tell them to clean up? She'd be like, yeah. I said, what do you be saying? Hey, this shit dirty, clean that up. I said, oh, you think I would clean it up too if you said some shit like that to me? Like that, you telling the truth. Like that's what you need. That needs to be done. But I would be like, hey guys, you know, cleaning is part of the duties in this home, and like if we don't clean up, it might be a hazard. Or I told her, that's why I asked my staff, I said, what do you want? Because I'm cool as fuck. Like I already know, like I don't give a fuck. Like I'm a cool as fuck supervisor. So I'm like, how do you want my role to be for you guys? And you know what I'm saying? Because like if they come to me, I'll be like, damn, that happened. That's crazy. But like this is what the policies say. So I'm like, but if y'all want to use me as the bad guy and be like, oh yeah, like what Ashley said, this shit needs to get it done. And so when it come to me, I'll be like, yeah, that's what I said. But in reality, I'm like, I don't be giving a fuck. But if that's what kind of person you want me to be. But to be back on the topic, when somebody is trauma dumping, the strategies based off this article, it says breathing is one of the best strategies for managing mental state while being dumped on by someone, right? She said, after you escape the overwhelming situation, devote some time to restoring and self-care. She suggests like body movement, walking, exercise, or just simply shaking or dancing to help with somebody who like just trauma dump on you to like center yourself. So I guess motion is a good tactic if you're feeling overwhelmed based on what somebody else to say.
I mean, if you can't just say when they start trauma dumping on you, like, hey, you know what, this is a bit too heavy for me. I don't think I'm okay having this conversation, or like, yeah, this is something I really don't want to talk about, or, you know, but
I
these
think people
strategies,
don't know how to be rude. Like, they don't know how to do that. Like, they don't
people
know
don't know how to be rude.
Yeah, they don't want to be rude. I think because when I do it, people don't tell me shut the fuck up. My sister probably was the only motherfucker that was just like, yo, I don't want to hear that shit. Like, that's just depressing. You're fucking up the mood. I was like, oh, this is a
So,
stressful
hey,
day.
so we needed you at the last show, Nizo.
Jesus.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, societal norms tell you to be nice about it and not to make people feel bad.
So I think people just take it, and then you like, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you the person in a relationship, you're not, trauma dumping is selfish. It's selfish. You're not thinking about the other person at all. And I'm definitely have done that shit before. But
I don't know if you remember this. Hey, Nizo, I don't know if you remember this, Nizo, but before, when we were doing another show, I can't remember what it was about, you were telling us that you're not cool with people talking to you and dumping all their trauma and stuff all over you, and that you will distance yourself from that person. I think that's what you said. Correct me if I'm wrong or whatever. When we was talking about that, do you remember that, Bunny?
so Naz be saying a lot of shit, y'all. So no. That's Naz my friend, when we not like on the show and shit. So just like, I don't know. I feel like Nez is like an old man that always got something to say. Like, he always got like, there's always a story. Like, there's always something. And sometimes it be so way off, I be looking like, I don't even know what the fuck this nigga talking about. But I be like, yep, yeah, you right, my nigga, like, you right.
Oh, we definitely veered off topic talking to him, but he did speak to what we he did speak to what we was talking about, or whatever. So I don't know. Is that a reason to cut somebody off? Somebody trauma dumping on you. How many times do you talk to somebody and somebody telling you some fucked up shit before you cut them off?
That is a really good question. I mean, I'm the cutoff queen. Fuck you. Like, and I think if you continue to set that boundary with that person and that person continue to cross it, obviously they don't respect you. So I feel like, yeah, I would cut them off, but like, that's just my personal feelings, because I would cut a motherfucker off like because you sneezed. Like, I'm like, you didn't cover your mouth and you sneezed. I don't fuck with you. Who does that? You don't care about my health.
It says, she said 2 times unless you're a super old friend. So somebody being friends with somebody for a long time kind of gives you a pass.
That don't give me a pass. Like, it's so funny, y'all. Like, I cut one of my really close friends off last year, and it's been a year, and like, I ran into him recently, and like, and he told me, changed his life and shit. I'm not gonna say too much, but like, and I'm like, oh, maybe I should be his friend again, but like that nigga, like, that shit was overwhelming as fuck. And I had a friend that I've been friends with since high school, and she has a severe persistent mental illness, and no, bitch, I'm not gonna be your friend. I'm sorry. I'm like, damn, you always in something? Like, you always, like, you don't got a regular life. Like, it's not like, oh, I lost a job. This bitch be like, oh, I bought a car in Africa for African queen, and like, she lied to me. I'm like, bitch, you didn't know she was lying from the gate? Like, well, can you fix it for me, Ashley? When I become somebody's mother, I'm like, no, bitch. I'm like, and like, and it's so funny. because she be like, "You really gonna cut me off?" And she like, I swear to God, she probably call me twice a year still private. Like, we still not cool? No, bitch, we're not cool. Like you haven't learned anything. It sound like you. It sound like you was the problem, Ash. I'm just saying because he changed and his life is. First of all, I gave him back my number and I said we could be friends again. You know,
Look, Nizo, look, you have no clue how crazy this story is. She has
you
not
remember
even
him? Do you know?
told you. She has not even told you the bullshit that this person put her through. Talk about using somebody. It was levels. It's levels to this shit. It's deeper than that.
Oh, everybody is taking me
Yeah,
today.
and they
Sometimes
really,
that's just the problem.
they on your ass today.
So sorry for the abrupt ending of the show. Jean's phone died, and so I guess she wasn't prepared. It was her time this time. So guys, I would just say tune in next week on a Sunday. And again, I apologize for the technical difficulties. Her phone died. So we apologize. Just tune in next week or whenever, if she get her phone. Jean's phone died, and so I just was apologizing. Like, she wasn't prepared. It was her this time, because my shit is on charger. So sorry for the abrupt ending. I just want to say, don't trauma dump on your friends if you don't feel like that's the kind of friend who can handle the situation. It's selfish. It's just not appropriate if it's just not appropriate if it's not with their consent. Sorry again about the abrupt ending. Her phone died, but tune in next week. We will be discussing, I honestly don't know. It's my turn to choose a topic. So if y'all have some ideas about what y'all want me to talk about next week, DM a bitch and we can talk about it. But sorry for the abrupt ending, but peace, love, and chicken grease. I love you all.